Hey y'all, Kenny here with the Winchester Model 290. Thanks for joining me. Just to bring you up to speed on this rifle, it belongs to a friend. It was not operating properly, was stovepiping rounds. I took it down. It was really dirty, had been neglected for years obviously. Got it working correctly, went out and shot it for some groups, and it was shooting about 1 inch at 25 yards, which is not up to my standards. Upon inspection of the muzzle crown, I found that it was in really bad shape, and it appeared to be the factory crown. It wasn't damaged, it just had metal rolled up as though they cut the crown with a dull bit of some sort. So I recrowned it, and now it's driving tacks. You can check out both those videos. They're in the playlist. But what I want to address now while I have the rifle is this heavy trigger pull. It's at about 15 pounds. My understanding is that this rifle had a 5-pound trigger from the factory. So what I'm going to do is take the trigger apart, inspect it, and see if I can determine the reason for the heavy trigger or a way to reduce that trigger pull. Now, I'm not wanting to go any lighter than 5 pounds. I want to keep the rifle safe, it being a semi-auto. And so if you got a few minutes, I'll take the trigger apart and let you see what's inside. So this trigger is super easy to get out of the rifle. Take your magazine tube out first. There's a pin right above the trigger. It's made out of plastic. Just take something and push it out. Then just lift up at the back and pull back, and there's your trigger assembly. So if you look through this little window, you'll see that there's a piece on the trigger, and when you pull back on it, and it does have a lot of travel, that piece will push upward on the sear and disengage it from the hammer, and the hammer flies forward. So this thing is really easy to get apart. The pin has a piece sticking out so you can just pull it with your fingers. You may want to take a photo before you take it apart, but you just pull all this up and it comes right out. This is the sear. As far as anything being wrong with this trigger, I don't see it. The surfaces of the sear and where the sear engages the hammer are a little rough. So I'm going to polish those out and see if that improves the trigger. I'll go ahead and give my little safety talk. I don't know what your skill level is. You know, a lot of people do brake jobs on a car that probably shouldn't. And there are some people who should not work on a trigger. You are the captain of your own ship. So if you choose to alter a trigger in any way, then you are responsible for the consequences of your actions. To get in here and polish these surfaces, you're going to need something really thin. I just took a piece of wood and sanded it to a nice edge. Then I glued some 1000 grit paper on. Depending on how rough your surface is, you may want to start with something a little bit coarser, and then you can work your way to finer and finer grits. I'm going to go to about 2500. Now, I'm going to caution you that you do not want to change the shape of any of these parts. You only want to polish out the imperfections in the metal. You don't want to round any edges. Be sure to keep your tool square to your work surfaces as you polish. The trigger pull's now 8 pounds, and I don't see any other reason for it to be that heavy except for this trigger spring. I did look online to see if anybody offered a lighter spring, and I wasn't successful in finding one. There are some factory parts available, and who knows, a new factory spring might solve the issue, because a lot of people say that their trigger was perfect from the factory. Now, with a lot of rifles, I will compress this spring to reduce the trigger pull, but this spring doubles as a sear spring, and I'm just not comfortable doing that with this rifle. I think it's too risky with an autoloader. To get this back in the trigger assembly, just lay your finger on the back of the sear. That will have your trigger spring angling back, and then just feed this down in the trigger assembly. It just glides in without any effort at all, and then insert your pin. So to get it back together, go ahead and cock your hammer. There's a pin on the front of the trigger assembly that fits into hole in the receiver, and it slips right in real easy. Insert your pin, put your magazine tube in, and you're ready to go. A good practice anytime you've had a trigger apart is to cock the rifle, and this is on an empty chamber. Take the safety off, use a rubber mounted or a dead blow hammer, and give the rifle several sharp blows to the buttstock, and try to dislodge the sear from the hammer. If the hammer drops, that rifle's not safe. Either back up and retrace your steps or take it to a gunsmith. The Winchester Model 290 is a pretty nice rifle in my opinion. This is one of the easiest triggers that I've ever taken apart. Again, if you don't feel qualified to do this, then don't do it. Safety first. If you haven't seen the 2 other videos with this rifle, be sure to check those out. They're coming up in the playlist. I'm going to wrap up the video by shooting a 3-shot group at 50 yards just to see if all my hard work has paid off. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, go ahead and do that now. And thanks again for watching.